Chair of the EU-Turkey Civic Commission, EUTCC, Kariane Westrheim, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So today's topic is the 15th February International Conspiracy. Kurdish leader Mr. Abdullah Öcalan has been held in isolation in prison for 23 years now, since 1999. He has been denied visits from his lawyers and family. There are now concerns, of course, about Mr. Öcalan's health and whereabouts. Can you comment on this treatment, first of all?
Of course, there are big concerns of his health, but also for his life. And no one knows for sure what is going on Mrali. And his lawyers are working day and night in order to get permission to visit him. The last visit was in March 2019, I guess, and that was in connection with a massive hunger strike which reached the world. Actually, both HEP, the political prisoners, and many supporters globally. But actually, there has been little action after that. He was permitted one phone call, I think it was in 2020, but after that he again was brought in total isolation. And in 2019, there was something in the CPT. They tried to. I don't know if they visited him or tried to visit him, but they wrote a report afterwards, but never lifted a finger to put their call on Turkey into action, because they call on Ankara to lift the solitary confinement measure on him, but nothing happened. And I think the CPT should really be shamed of themselves, because they do so little. They don't even do what they are there to do.
What is the importance of freedom of Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan and delisting the PKK from forbidden organizations list? As many people are saying, keeping the PKK on forbidden organizations list and keeping Mr. Abdullah Öcalan under isolation is two sides of the same coin, the same problem actually. How would you going to evaluate that?
Also, in my opinion, and as I see it, the PKK and Öcalan represent social and political sustainability. They are something to lean on, which increases the motivation and the willingness to struggle and to fight for something that is your own, something that belongs to your people. So against this background, it is really incomprehensible to those who know the Kurdish question that the EU and the US could place the PKK on the terror list. The PKK and the Kurdish Liberation Movement is actually representing the democratic solution in the Middle East. So if the PKK is removed from the list and regarded as a real partner in peace negotiation in Turkey and the rest of the region, I think we will experience the seriousness and the willingness to negotiate that this party possesses. So given the possibility that Öcalan's solution changes, he will, like Nelson Mandela, show his strength as negotiator for peace in the region. Öcalan, so there must be a continuous attention to Öcalan's situation, for whom there are so many international initiatives and campaigns, for whom there are so many people are fighting and struggling on a daily basis. And this goes hand in hand with the delisting of the PKK. Öcalan and the Kurdish movement has contributed a lot to creating a political awareness among the Kurds through highly interesting educational projects, literacy programs, a new society model women's liberation, and unity in diversity. It is unique in its kind, and therefore we must get Öcalan out of captivity.
What was the target by taking Mr. Öcalan as a hostage with the February 15 international conspiracy?
Of course, there were many states and interests behind the kidnapping in Kenya. And there are many explanations. And some people probably know all of it and all that was behind it. And most people know only a little bit. What seems likely is that none of these states that were behind would wish to be revealed, or that Öcalan should be taken on their territory or their land. Therefore, I think Kenya was put on the table, on the map, because it was a more neutral territory. Another factor is that Öcalan had become too dangerous, because too dangerous to Turkey. He challenged, he spoke in opposition, and showed power, not least by the mobilization among the Kurds, and also military, which no one could overlook. So he had become a real danger, and he had to be stopped. So they kidnapped him.
Turkey is getting more and more repressive in its treatment of the Kurds. This must have a bearing on how Western allies view the Kurds. What can we do to shame our governments into acting in favor of the values of human rights and justice that they claim to uphold? Actually, the European countries, Western people are upholding on the human rights, these values and justice as well. But when it comes to Kurds, the mechanisms doesn't work. Seems like to be so. How are we going to evaluate that?
And we can say that repression on the Kurds have never been as horrible as in our days. However, despite the silence of the international political establishment, there are so many people, also parliamentarians within the EU and other governments, who see and understand the problems in Turkey, who support the Kurds and want to delist the PKK. The only problem is that they do not put power behind the words. In their opinions, and their opinions do not reach the table of political decision makers. And then we are just as far. As I said before, it is perpetual pressure from below that finally will make the difference or will make the change, because politicians are dependent on support from the people. And when the people start to mobilize, to speak out and to push, they finally must listen. That is why lobbying and mobilization for the Kurds, for the Kurdish issues, for the PKK, for the freedom movement, for Abdullah Öcalan is so important to work for all the time, day and night, I would say. Yes.
Thank you. Lastly, very short, very briefly, what is your expectation and message for Mr. Öcalan and the Kurdish people?
I would say never give up, never lose hope. We stand side by side all the way until the goals have been reached. Thank you.
Dear Kariane Westrheim, I'm chair of the EU Turkey Civic Commission. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments today.
Thank you so much. It was very nice being here. Thank
Thank
you.
you.